I wrote an alternate ending to the movie Lavalantula, the way it should have ended. Starting at right here in the movie. If you haven't seen it, then I think it's worth seeing, but the ending is a disappointment. Meet Lavalantula, the Lavalantula. So this is Lavalantula right here. Starting right there, when Lavalantula emerges. So that's when this alternate ending starts in the movie, which is an hour and 15 minutes into it. Alright. Lavalantula at the end should have had its own 15-minute long scene where it just kicks ass and takes names before they kill it. It should have immediately breathed a huge jet of fire right on a huge crowd of people, and you see like 50 people just catch fire and die right there in the street. Then fire breathe breath a building in half in a way so that the building top half lands right in a densely crowded street of another 50 people or so getting crushed by the skyscraper building half. Then it shows two helicopters come by shooting miniguns at it, and Lavalantula takes some serious heavy fire from the miniguns, but it blasts them both the fuck out of the sky, and it shows one of the helicopters crash and burn right into an apartment building with two people out on the balcony getting killed by it. One dying immediately, and the other, it shows them falling 9 stories while on fire, screaming all the way to the ground. Then Lavalantula starts stomping people into paste on the streets like they're nothing, including 2 of the main characters of the movie with its feet, one person after another, up to 25 people. It shows them getting smashed into the concrete into bloody paste before it breathes fire on another 5 people in the streets, shooting guns at it, pissing it off, and you see them roast alive. Then it fire blasts that red rocket moron into a smoldering pile of ash, and he screams his ass off for 5 seconds while he burns. Then Lavalantula quickly turns its attention to some jackoff who thinks he can't be seen, popping shots at Lavalantula with a Savage Win Mag 300 up on the roof of a 2-story building. But boy was he wrong, and Lavalantula roasts his fucking ass into melted bloody paste, him screaming like a bitch for the rest of his short-ass life, living in agonizing pain. Then 2 Jeeps and 2 MRAP vehicles come in with machine guns and rocket launchers on them, shooting rockets at it, and you see a scene of Lavalantula take the rockets like a champ. Then fire blasts the 4 vehicles into an inferno, and you see them trying to get out of the vehicles while being burned alive and running off into a field. All of them on serious fire, screaming at the top of their lungs in severe pain. Then it shows 2 offshore ships shoot the thing down with huge ship cannons and railguns, and finally bring that fucker down. But on its way down, it fire blasts its last breath at some idiot taking a selfie while standing too close to it.
I like that. That's pretty good.
Oh shit, I hope to dream that. Just get my wish dreaming about Lavalantula, the ending of that movie, but I haven't gotten that wish yet. And this is about a group of people that goes to Burning Man and experiences this. Okay. So, I put this on the video called Surgery Head, Liminal Division. Alright. I thought of the most fitting thing to go along with this song. Last time I listened to it, it would be hilarious in a fucked up way to be a movie scene in a documentary, something like Blair Witch Project style. This crew of people goes to Burning Man and notices on the back of the ticket it says, "By attending Burning Man, you assume the risk of serious injury or death." And then, which it really does say, this is the actual ticket to Burning Man, and this is what it actually says on the ticket. "You voluntarily assume the risk of serious injury or death by attending." So it says that on all of them in real life. So they go there and they say, before we can start the festivities, we need 5 contestants to power the spirit of the show up on a stage and pick out 5 random men, because it's Burning Man, out of the crowd while everyone's in one area in front of the stage. And it's at night. By shining a very focused light into the crowd with a beam about 1 person wide to select the people, and take these people up on stage where 3 guys come out and stand next to each person. So 15 total guys, 3 person per guy on stage. And then it starts playing this song really loud. And this is the most fitting song possible for this situation. If you want to hear what I'm talking about, I'll put a link in the description for Surgery Head Liminal Division. And just imagine this, what I've explained next while playing this song. And they lead these 5 guys, forcibly lead them once the guys realize where they're being led, into 5 different giant 3-story wicker men, like in the movie Wicker Man, when Nicolas Cage gets burned in the Wicker Man at the end. But there's 5 of them and 5 men, and force them in there and burn them at the stake. Once they got them all in there, while it starts playing this song blasting loud, it would be just a movie, so it would be hilarious and awesome, because this would fit that perfectly, and they would find out the hard way why it says on the ticket stub. They'd find out the hard way that they take it literally, Burning Man, and why it says that on the ticket stub. Now every time I hear this song, I'm probably just going to laugh my ass off, even though it's a very serious and intense song. Alright, so I got one more alternate ending that I wrote to the movie Cyborg with Jean-Claude Van Damme, starting at 7:48 in this video. I'll leave a link to the description if you want to see this, if you want to read this for yourself or see the scene, if you're not familiar with the movie Cyborg. Starting at 7:48. This is after the scene where this happens. So he got kicked onto a meat hook with chains and shit attached to it. And then this scene is like a minute after that. Alright, so right here, so Fender would be... Alright, so at 7:48, Fender can be seen entering the scene in the background, like coming out of there right here, limping his way towards Gibson with the meat hook still hanging out of him, while holding the chain to the meat hook out in front of him, with each hand holding the chain straight out. The way someone would hold it if they were going to come up behind someone and wrap it around someone's neck from behind, because that is what Fender was planning on doing with it. But Haley, the girl standing next to Gibson, screams, and Gibson immediately turns his attention towards Fender. As soon as Fender is about 10 feet away, Gibson pulls out a knife, and LOL, once again, it's on. Because twice he already, by this point, twice he thinks he already killed him, and he
Fender strikes back again.
So it's the second time Fender strikes back. Fender tries to wrap the chain around Gibson's neck, but Gibson moves back 2 feet while stabbing the knife right towards Fender's face. But since Fender already had the chain out, he manages to wrap the chain around Gibson's arm, holding the knife during the stab, and redirects the knife stab right into Haley's eye, and she drops to the ground dead with a knife buried in her eye. The camera shows her falling down backwards with a knife stuck 6 inches of the way into her eye socket. Fender starts wrapping the chain around Gibson's arm with one hand, wrapping the chain up Gibson's arm with his other hand, holding the chain securely. So coils of chain are being made up Gibson's arm. So he's got the chain already wrapped around his arm once he redirected it into Haley's eye. And then he just starts wrapping the chain like more times around his arm while he has his arm out. Fender gets about 4 coils worth of chain up Gibson's arm with that horseshit maneuver before Gibson grabs the chain from going around his arm for a 5th time. And as he does that, Fender headbutts Gibson full strength right on the temple of his head, and Gibson goes limp and falls back while Fender continues to wrap the chain around his arm, yelling like a psychopath, until he eventually gets the chain wrapped all the way up his arm 7 times and continues wrapping it around Gibson's neck. Right as Fender gets the chain around Gibson's neck 2 times, Gibson starts coming to and reaches for the meat hook coming out of Fender's back and starts tugging at it. Fender yells in pain as he starts wrapping the chain around Gibson's neck harder. They both continue to tug at the chain harder, Gibson tugging at the meat hook coming out of Fender, and Fender tightening the chain around Gibson's neck. They each do this for about 20 seconds, Fender yelling right in Gibson's ear the whole time while it's happening. Until they both start passing out for 2 different reasons. Fender from pain and Gibson from loss of oxygen. Until they both pass out for 2 different reasons, and the camera shows a downward shot of both of them laying there getting rained on while the camera moves up. They both lay there doing nothing, passed out for about 20 seconds before Fender starts coming to, and he reaches behind his back and starts working the meat hook out of his back. Because Gibson pulled it out most of the way by now anyways. So he has little trouble getting it the rest of the way out of his back. While the camera shows Fender getting the hook out of his back, he starts bleeding profusely down his back. Fender yelling at the top of his lungs in pain while doing it. The yelling starts to wake up Gibson up out of his being passed out. By then, Fender has the meat hook out and is on his knees, holding the meat hook high in the air over his head with both arms, and stabs it right into Gibson's chest, all the way in, and it shows a close-up of Gibson's face, wide-eyed, with his mouth all the way open, but unable to make a sound, and blood start to pour out of his mouth. Fender then rips the hook out of Gibson's chest, with Gibson's heart on the end of it, and pulls his heart off the hook, and holds it high in the air with his right hand still on his knees, and the camera pans back while he freezes in that position, holding the heart in the air with one hand being rained on, with the camera panning back, showing that for about 20 seconds. So Fender's just on his knees, holding his heart like this, camera's panning back, and he's just like smiling like a psycho with the heart while the camera pans back. Fender then starts eating Gibson's heart over Gibson's dead body, with blood gushing out of his mouth while looking like a complete psycho while doing it. Fender then keels over dead from all the injuries he has sustained, and the camera shows both of them dead on the ground, laying next to each other, while panning up, showing a downward angle for about 20 seconds, with Haley laying about 5 feet away from them with a knife jammed in her eye socket, until it starts to fade to black and roll up the credits.
That's good, man. That's good.
If only that shit happened again. Fender keeps going back.
Yeah, dude.